Welcome. My name is Jameson, and in this video, we're going to talk about angiogenesis, and really, we're going to talk about anti-angiogenesis as it relates to cancer. It's a big word, but really important concept to understand in your cancer fighting journey. Let's get into it. All right, again, we're talking anti-angiogenesis. Before getting into it, I am not a doctor. Nothing I say here should be taken as medical advice. This is really just how Rachel and I have tried to understand the science that we're trying to incorporate into Rachel's cancer fighting plan, and wanted to share that with you because it was a lot of hard work, and we know many people don't have time to research or the tools to know how to best research, and so we wanted to bring that information to you. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about the science of angiogenesis, as well as the anti part of angiogenesis. We're going to talk about its uses in cancer treatment, and then ultimately, how can you or how can we benefit from this information? All right, so first, let's talk about the science of angiogenesis. So angiogenesis is the process by which new blood vessels form, allowing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the body's tissues. It's a vital function that's required for growth and development, as well as the healing of wounds. So anytime we get hurt, angiogenesis is this important process of bringing healing nutrients to that injury. Angiogenesis also plays an important role in the formation of cancer because, like any other body part, tumors need a blood supply to thrive and grow. So science has found that tumors actually release a hormone that essentially is their own angiogenic process where they tell the body to build blood vessels around the tumor and bring nutrients that the tumor needs into it. And so angiogenesis plays that important role in the development of cancer, which is why we care about something called anti-angiogenesis. Anti-angiogenesis is the prevention of the formation of new blood vessels, especially the blood vessels that grow under the influence of malignant tumors. So in the early 1970s, the late investigator Judah Folkman first reported research showing that the formation of cancer depends on angiogenesis. This started a medical revolution to determine what factors were contributing to this angiogenesis and how to arrest it. So they did a lot of work to figure out what is causing this angiogenesis and how can we get control of that. Since then, many different anti-angiogenic compounds have been developed. These are treatments, these are medications to stop cancers from growing or progressing. The idea being that choking off the blood supply would starve the tumor. So since the 1970s, a lot of these have been developed. We'll talk about a few, but that's the work that's been done in the medical research community to understand anti-angiogenesis. Okay, so let's talk the use of anti-angiogenesis in this research in cancer treatment specifically. So cancerous tumors, they release this angiogenic growth factor protein that stimulates blood vessels to grow into the tumor. Thus, really just building highways for nutrients into the tumor. This provides oxygen and nutrients. A key mechanism of anti-angiogenic therapy then interferes with the process of blood vessel growth that the tumor is trying to induce, and it literally starves the tumor of its own blood supply. So the tumor is now cut off. It's like laying siege to a city. You've cut off the supply and it starves from the inside out. So in the US, there are currently 13 approved anti-cancer therapies that have a recognized anti-angiogenic property in oncology. These are ones you may hear, like Avastin is one. I think Avastin was the first one ever approved by the FDA. Cyremza is another. There are many others. Rachel has actually, she did Avastin for about a year and a half, and she's actually on Cyremza now. And so these are things that we, from a chemical standpoint, are absolutely introducing to Rachel's plan and see the value in. These new drugs that are being developed that all have this anti-angiogenic property are often specific to types of cancer. They found that different types of cancer release different of these proteins that induce angiogenesis, and so the anti-angiogenic medication then has to be focused around what that tumor and that type of tumor is doing. But the thing about these synthetic medications is they all have a general effect of slowing the healing process of the body. And so that's a downside of going on these medications, is you don't recover as quickly. Even for Rachel, she's found things like exercise, the recovery time and soreness is longer when she's on these medications. We've done a number of surgeries around the time that she's taking these medications, and those can tend to take longer to heal as well. And so that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at introducing the medications that have this anti-angiogenic factor to them, that they're going to likely have an overall body impact to you of slowed healing. Which brings us to the last topic today, ways to benefit from the science and research around anti-angiogenesis. So I want to introduce you to a man named Dr. William Li. He's a researcher, and he's the founder of angio.org. We'll put the link below because it's a really fascinating website with really useful research and facts and figures to help support the research that he's been doing. So William Li says this: "The good news," this is his quote, "the good news is that we can eat to starve cancer. Lots of foods contain naturally occurring inhibitors of angiogenesis." That means it's anti-angiogenic. "And many are even better than drugs for blocking angiogenesis." So that's a huge claim that Dr. Li is making, that there is evidence that shows that dietary changes, specific dietary changes, have in a lab setting shown more significant anti-angiogenic properties than the medications that have been developed. So I want to look at just a few things around Dr. Li's research. The first is, here's a list of the foods that they've identified that have an anti-angiogenic effect. Strawberries, kale, you can kind of read this separately. I won't go through the whole list. But here's the cool part. This is why I'm bringing up this idea of eating to induce anti-angiogenic effects. The chemical sources, so the medication, Avastin, Cyremza, and others, of anti-angiogenesis, they affect the overall body's ability to heal. Food sources, on the other hand, are shown to target unhealthy angiogenesis, and they leave largely your natural body's ability to heal alone. So your body is the best agent for healing when we can induce it. And so foods are a way of kicking up your body's healthy response to angiogenesis, and doesn't really interfere with your normal healing cycle, but can target the cancer's ability to use those same pathways and factors. So that's really, really cool. This next slide is a little bit messy, maybe a little bit hard to read. I'll say now, there's a TED Talk that Dr. Li gave. I'll link below. It's really fascinating, and this is actually more like an interactive video chart that's really fascinating. But essentially, this is his research and his team's research into the effectiveness of anti-angiogenic foods alongside the effectiveness of different medications. And so you can see vitamin E has one of the highest angiogenesis effects above even other medications. But you also see tea, turmeric, glucosamine, green tea, lavender, and down the line, you see the effect that food has on the angiogenic properties of your body. So again, I'll link to the video below. It's worth spending the 45 minutes. It's very science forward, but also super interesting and very applicable if you're going through a cancer fighting journey. All right, so just to hit on the key takeaways for this video. Angiogenesis is an important process involving the growth of many cancers. Talk with your doctor about potential medical treatments that arrest angiogenesis. And then third, incorporate anti-angiogenic foods into your diet. Go back and look at that list of foods and determine what you can easily incorporate into your diet that supports your cancer fighting journey. If you have any questions about any of this, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to address it in future videos. Otherwise, we'll talk soon.